Everyone who remembers that season or knew who Fernando Valenzuela was during his Dodgers years, they're always going to remember him. I'm talking about as iconic as Kobe, as iconic as Magic. Fernando is in that pantheon.
When Mr. Walter O'Malley came to Los Angeles, he used to tell us, Jaime, when are you going to find and give us a Mexican Sandy Koufax? And I used to tell Mr. O'Malley, it's impossible to find another Koufax.
A minor leaguer most of last year, he's now hailed as the second coming of Sandy Koufax at age 20.
Like Jackie Robinson, Fernando broke a glass ceiling.
He was an immigrant like many of the members of our families. He's not just a symbol to the Latino community, but he's a great pitcher.
Fernando Valenzuela is going to be remembered as one of the most consequential athletes in Southern California sports history.
He helped change the way Dodger Stadium looks. He helped change the way baseball looks. Fernando Valenzuela was the most popular Dodger ever. He wasn't on paper their greatest pitcher, but he was in person their greatest ambassador, their greatest connection, their greatest link. He brought the Mexican-American community back to Chavez Ravine.
All of a sudden along comes Fernando right out of the blue, just changed everything.
When Fernando hit, it was just like, oh my God.
Here he is, man. Here's a Mexicano. You know, everybody loves a hero. Everybody wants to have a hero. Willie Mays, Hank Aaron. I mean, everybody wants to be the fan of somebody. And especially if he's of your racial background, my God, you know, vámonos, viva la raza.
It was just an abundance of pride and a sense of feeling like he was part of your family.
When Fernando was pitching, was a sellout.
It became, you had to go to the game. And literally, when the police would stop you, if Fernando was playing, they wouldn't say, what are you doing? They go, why aren't you at the park? You know, because you were doing something wrong if you weren't at the baseball park.
This is a man who not only was a World Series champion twice, not only the Cy Young Award winner, not just a Rookie of the Year, but for that magical season of 1981, he was one of the greatest baseball pitchers of all time. That magical stretch where he was just mowing them down. And the fact that he was a pudgy Mexican immigrant, and that also adds to his mystique. He wasn't a skinny guy, he wasn't a strong guy.
There's something I think always about sports that has a character who is subversive, right? He's going to flip the whole script on what you've known or what you believe this sport to be. And this one seems more extreme because he's not tall, he's not blonde, he's not Steve Garvey, right?
He was chubby. And, you know, in Spanish we say gordito. He was a chubby guy, and the people could relate to him. I mean, he wasn't cut up, weightlifter, athlete's body. He was a gordito, just like everybody else in East LA.
He was a symbol of what LA could be at a time in the early 80s when LA wasn't sure what it could be.
Fernando Valenzuela was born in 1960 in the small town of Echohuaquila, Sonora, Mexico. He was the youngest of 12 children and inherited a love of baseball from his father, Avelino, a farmer.
Mike Brito had talked about it a lot, that someday we're going to have a great player from Mexico. His enthusiasm made an impression on all of us in the organization that we must do everything possible to sign Fernando.
I cannot overemphasize how much of a mythical figure he became, especially for Mexican Americans. I mean, me growing up, all of our uncles wanted us male cousins to be like Fernando. Do the whole pitch, do that, do all of that. Of course, none of us were going to do it because no one could do it.
I know that ladies, especially mothers and grandmothers, started praying and praying the rosary because Fernando was preaching that day. So he became God, really, in Southern California. It was unbelievable.
When Fernando was with us, he's never gotten the credit that he deserves for the impact he made on baseball, not just on the Dodger organization, but on Mexican baseball, international baseball, the community.
I'm talking about a fundamental shift in how people viewed the Dodgers, in how Southern Californians viewed themselves as, especially Latinos. We were no longer going to be, bench players that are like, token players. We were going to be the stars. We were going to be the face of Southern California. And Fernando really was that first Latino to be able to assume that role. And that's all because of his pitching with the Dodgers.
You can't overestimate the impact he has. The Dodgers would not be the Dodgers today without Fernando Valenzuela. They would not be the diverse community, connected city. It wouldn't be our team unless it was first Fernando's team.
Here's this guy from Mexico. Historically, the United States has not looked kindly upon immigrants, especially in Southern California, and everyone loved him. Everyone was wanting a piece of Fernando, wanting to know more about him. Everyone for once wanted to cheer a Mexican.
I believe that Fernando will always be a hero to the Mexican-American community. People love him.
It's an LA story. I honestly believe that it's part of the history of Los Angeles. That's the impact that he had, not just on the Latino community, but on Los Angeles. When he came in, he was like the guy.
He was LA. He was the Dodgers. He'll be sorely missed.
Gracias, Fernando, por todo lo que usted hizo para nosotros. Que viva el Toro para siempre. Viva Dodgers.